Hoang today. Cheers. I've got my drink. I hope you're got your drink if it is in the afternoon for you guys. I understand that sometimes, depending on what's going on, or your time difference, you might not be able to drink, but that's okay. No judgment. We're in a judgment-free zone. So if you are just joining, my name is Hoang, and this is my clinic where I'm at. This is Hands-On Therapy Services. And one of the things that we do here at Hand Therapy Secrets is really to help OTs and PTs who want to become CHTs pass and develop their skills and grow their confidence so that they can become certified hand therapists. So today's topic is all around, what happens if you fail the CHT exam. So the May exam, just people who were taking the exam in May got their scores like a couple weeks ago, and of course there's usually a 50% chance pass and 50% chance fail, right? Of course, depending on the year, it can fluctuate by several degrees, but for the most part, it's pretty consistent in terms of its percentages. So if you are somebody who has taken the exam before and failed, I'd love to hear your questions. Do you have any questions around, the exam, or, what to do next, right? You can type into the comment section, I believe. If you're on Instagram, so I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on YouTube. So anywhere you guys see me, if you want to post a question in the comment. Well, first of all, if you're watching, tell me where you're from, and tell me where you are along your journey in terms of becoming a certified hand therapist. Some people are just starting out, right? Some people are just starting out and they know already that they want to be a CHT. So they're like, what do I need to do? How do I get my hours? How do I get the job? That kind of stuff. If you have been working for a while and you've gotten your hours, you've gotten your years, you've gotten your hours, all that stuff like that, and you're studying, let me know. Type into the chat. What are you doing in terms of resources and in terms of getting started? Type into the chat and let me know. If you are someone who has, taken the exam before and failed, let me know that too. Let me know. Type into the chat. I want to know, are you planning on taking it in November? Let me know. Are you planning on taking it in November? So I always like to get to know people and know where they are along the journey, because essentially we all have, if you're here watching, if you're here watching, you've been following Hand Therapy Secrets, there is essentially, I would think, a common goal. And the common goal is to become an expert in our area, right? To become a certified hand therapist and the expert in our area, so that you can, treat any kind of patients that come your way. Whether your goal is to work for someone else, right? Or your goal is to one day go out on your own and become a clinic owner, a business owner, whichever one that is. Really, at the end of the day, we're all here because we want more choices. I wanted more choices in my career. I wanted to be able to kind of like have the career that I want. Now, sometimes it's very easy. We can go and we can look at different people, what they've done, and say, oh, I want to do what they're doing, right? That's, a lot of times that's where we get started. But at the end of the day, no matter where you are on your journey, there's certain things you want, right? Most of the time, let's be honest with each other. Let's be honest with each other. Most of the time, it revolves around money, right? Money and freedom. We want more money. We want to be able to make more money so that we can have a different type of freedom in our lives. Sometimes we want more freedom in the sense that we want more choices in our career. So, regardless, we want those things, and you should want those things. Now it becomes like, I want this, I want this. Now, question comes down to, what are you going to do to get it, right? What are you going to do to get it? So, specifically, I wanted to talk today around the topic of, you did what you thought you needed to do, and you studied for the exam, but you failed it. What do you need to do next? Well, one part of it is, to kind of like, okay, your ego got bruised, right? Your ego got bruised, and now you sort of have to get over it. Like, you have to kind of like sort of pick up the pieces afterwards, and then you need to make a decision. And this is the hardest part, the decision part is the hardest part. And the decision part is, will I do it again, right? Will I take this exam again? And if you failed and you're asking yourself that question, will I take it again? Then I think you'd have to ask yourself other questions like, are your goals still the same? Because if your goals are still the same, to become an expert in your area and to get the CHT, then yeah, of course you're going to take that shit again. Take it again. Take it again. It's okay to fail. You just need a game plan of what you need to do next time to increase the chances of you passing, right? You can equate this to any kind of athlete, any kind of sports. If you are, this is like an individual game, right? It's an individual game. So, for example, playing tennis, playing golf, it's an individual sport. This is an individual sport. So not every single time you play a game will you win. It's the same kind of thing. So if you didn't win this time, what do you need to do to increase your chances of winning the next time? What do you need to do this time, to increase the chances of your success the next time? So then comes the question like, shit, when do I take it? Now, if possible, right? If possible, I normally recommend taking it immediately after, right? So if you've taken it for the first time, then, and you failed, I say go for it, take it again. Take it again, because you've already spent a certain amount of time. You've already spent a certain amount of time studying for it. The information is fresh in your head, right? The information is fresh in your head. And so, why not take it again? So the thing is when you take it again, you want to, ask yourself and kind of like think through a couple of things, right? So I'm going to essentially go over that with you. So if you have taken it this May, and you're thinking about taking it again in November, I would encourage you to do so. That's fun. And I know with this type of topic, nobody wants to type into the chat and say like, yes, I took and I failed. But honestly, there is no shame in the game, right? There's no shame in it, because what it's going to do is going to just like help you to like hold yourself accountable, but if you don't feel comfortable to share it, it's okay. You don't have to share it, but just think about it. Just keep this in mind. If you failed it in May, will you take it again in November? Yes, I'm going to take it again in November. What needs to happen so that I can increase my chances of passing the next time I take it? So ask yourself this question. Did I study enough? Did I study enough? There are some people who take the exam and for sure, 100% tell me it's because I didn't study enough. I created this, I was trying to fit it in. I have kids. I work all the time. Whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. Did you study enough? And so if the answer is no, right? The answer is no. How can you plan so that you can increase your chances, right? How can you plan so that you can feel like you studied enough? So when I took this exam, like 15 years ago, when I took this exam 15 years ago, I am not naturally a good test taker. I know this about myself, right? So part of doing this, taking the exam, you got to know yourself. I know that I am not a good standardized test taker. I'm embarrassed to say how low my score is on the SAT scores when I was getting into college. It was like in the 800s. It was terrible. It's even amazing that I got into college, okay? Thank the Lord for my decent ass grades, right? But I also knew like that I'm kind of a B student, to be honest with you. Like I was never the kid that got A's. Like I struggled to get B's, you know. And that was just me. Like I fully admit I knew like so I have like my best friends. Let me tell you about my best friends. So my best friends is the valedictorian and the salutatorian, right? Like I am friends with two of the smartest ladies that I know. And I'm here like, dun, 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 not the smartest. Like I can't remember shit to save my life. But I knew that there were certain things I was really good at. And thank the Lord I fell into therapy because I'm actually like really good at it. I'm really good at these ideas and like kind of bridging stuff together. Thank you, Michelle. So like I just knew like it was a struggle for me, so I just knew I needed to like put in the hours, right? I talked to some students and they're like, they remember shit like super quickly. They don't have to sit there and like read everything. And they just like they do well with outlines, but part of it's like knowing yourself. You gotta know yourself, right? And then you gotta plan for what you know about yourself. So for example, I needed to read. I'm a reader. Like I learn a lot of different ways. Like I'm a visual learner. I'm a tactile learner. Like I draw on myself. I'm a listener. Like it's so stupid. I'm like I'm all three. I'm a visual learner. Like I need to get my hands in everything, right? That's how I am. I need to get my hands into everything. But I knew that I needed to put in a certain amount of time, right? And one thing that's really detrimental is like you comparing your inside to someone else's outside. So one of the things I see in groups, and listen, I love these Facebook groups. They're an opportunity to share, gain knowledge, but sometimes you have to be really good at filtering out certain things, right? So sometimes I would read like, oh, I passed on the first time and I only studied for, X number of hours or X number of weeks or X number of months and I got it. But then you're reading that and it's like fucking up your mindset about like about them and then it messes you up. You don't know them. Like you don't know them. You don't know how they study. They don't know you. They're just giving you what they did. But you have to know yourself, right? You have to know yourself 100% down. I am not a good standardized test taker. I have to sit there and kind of like break certain things down for me, right? It's the memorization that's intimidating. It is. There is a certain way to memorize because you don't need to memorize everything. You don't have to memorize everything. You just got to remember a certain amount of it. And then if you're a critical thinker, right, problem solver, you can critically think through the other half, right? So I'm not a very good memorizer or recaller. So sometimes, people are like quizzing you and then you have to recall and that's not on the exam. Like, you don't have to verbally say anything. You just have to recognize there's a difference in terms of recall and recognition. And there's a big difference in that. But you can essentially use critical thinking as a way, and a problem solve as a way of kind of getting around the fact that you're not a good memorizer, right? I do terrible with mnemonics because it requires me to remember something else. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I know that about me. Do I provide it? I do, because there are some people who really good with mnemonics and it helps them. So we provide that. But I am not good with mnemonics because it's asking me to remember something else. And I don't have brain space for that, right? So part of strategizing to pass the exam is you got to know yourself. How do you study? And so if you didn't study enough, how would you plan out what you need to study, right? I planned out a year. So this is what happened to me. I was like, I wanted choices. I wanted to be able to work where I wanted to work. And I thought that getting my CHD would give me that. So I was working in acute at the time, and I had accrued my hours, and I had accrued my, and I got to see, because I worked in a really big hospital, I was seeing a lot of arm types of issues, and it doesn't necessarily need to be like post-surgical, like trigger finger and carpal tunnel shit, right? But I saw shoulders, I saw elbows, I saw hands, orthopedic, neuro, all types of, types of injury, general weaknesses from all sorts of stuff. And so I was able to get my hours, and then I was like, well, I'm going to just start studying and sitting for this exam, regardless of whether I have the quote unquote job or not. And it was through that type of like mental talk with myself that I, when someone left the position, she called me up because she knew I wanted to sit for it, and she knew I was interested in hands. So when she left the company, she called me up and said, hey, I'm leaving, you should apply for my position. So that's what I did. As soon as I hung up with her, I called the supervisor, the manager. Was like, hey, I heard so and so is leaving. I mean, the door barely opened and closed, and I'm like pushing her out of the way, like, let me at this job. Let me at this job. So when I went and interviewed, I pretty much was, did the whole talk about, like how I could be a great role for this position, how I'm sitting for the exam. Regardless of whether I get this position or not, I will be sitting for the exam in November. Back then, it was only given out once. I will take this exam and I will pass. And then I was shitting bricks after I got the job. I was like, holy shit, I'm actually going to sit for the exam. And I did. I had given myself like a year, but the first 3 months, let's face it, you're dabbling and you're not really doing shit. And then it was only after that I really got serious, and I really needed to dive in and put in the kind of hours in order to pass, because I needed to be able to study a certain way. So really take that into account. Did you study enough? And if you feel like you didn't study enough, how can you plan so you can increase your chances, right? What's another reason? Did you focus on the area that you need to focus on, right? So did you focus? So the focus is really key, right? The focus is really key. So I was just talking to one of my members, and I mean, so close when I tell you. And one of the things that he said to me, and now mind you, like people ask me, do I have PTs in the program and stuff like that? Absolutely, I've had PTs in this program pass and became CHDs. I currently have PTs in this program who are sitting and want to take the CHD. So he was like, well, I just felt like there was a lot of splinting questions, and that's not my area where I'm the strongest. And I told him that I was like, well, you know what OTs do? OTs tell me that they're really weak with shoulders, that they don't have opportunities to treat shoulders, or they don't treat them that much. And so that's an area where they're really weak. And that the test was like, oh my God, like every other question was about shoulders. But what happens is we all tend to see and feel like the area that we're weakest in, we're like tons of questions. So whatever area you thought you were so weak in, that was where there was like tons of questions. And in our studying, we have a tendency to do where we all want to cover the topics that are easiest to us or the topics that we most enjoy, right? Or the tests that we most enjoy. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do the whole like come on the call with me on Instagram, but you're more than welcome to leave a comment, I think, or ask a question. Definitely ask me questions. So what happens with these areas is like if you think shoulders is your weakest area, you almost like don't focus on it or don't want to spend the time, or maybe it's like that whole like I don't know what I don't know, and um don't know how to think through the problems of the shoulder issues, just like someone who says that they don't splint, don't know how to incorporate splinting into hand types of issues, right? So you know maybe ask yourself, did I focus on the areas that I need to focus on? All right, we always want to focus on areas that we enjoy and we like, and we don't want to focus on the areas that we don't enjoy and we don't like. It's human nature, right? I don't like doing administrative types of tasks in my clinic, let's say. I don't like to do notes or whatever. So what do you find? You'll do everything else before you do your notes. And then you want to know why you're like, these notes take forever. It's because you don't freaking like doing them. And so you kind of like, I would rather sit and talk with my patients than write my damn notes, right? That kind of stuff. So if you enjoy hands and you think that you're good at it, that's the area where you can put just a lot of your focus versus like maybe your focus should be on an area where you're not so good at and you don't do a lot of, right? But there's a way in terms of adding and making yourself aware of what areas you need to focus on, right? And there's different areas that you can focus on. It's not always topic related. It's not always hand, wrist, shoulder, right? It can be in the way you're thinking through particular types of problems. All right, so if you failed, you had mentioned the teaching is based on the rehab of the hand. Some people are studying indie-handed protocols, and there are some discrepancies. Oh yeah. Oh, you're about to like hit on the topic that I'm about to talk about next, right? So if you look at the HCC.org website, they tell you all the resources, but all the resources that you can utilize. I just think rehab of the hand is the most comprehensive one place that you can get your you get the most amount of your learning, right? And when it comes to the indie-handed protocol book, it's a bulleted outline of what they use in their clinic. Granted, it might be like research based and like what standard of care is and stuff like that. But when there's discrepancies, I always stick with what is the information that comes from rehab of the hand, right? And regardless of the discrepancy, on the exam, how would you answer that question? Because I always say that when it comes to these types of exams, you can rule in and rule out, right? And it's not that all the choices are wrong and there's only one right. There could be multiple right, but they're asking you what is the best choice out of those choices based on your critical thinking, problem solving skills, so you can make the best decision, right? So of course there's just some discrepancy. So did you filter out what you needed to know? There's a ton of information. Did you filter out what you needed to know? right? So when you have no information, like I always say this, everything's like on this bell curve, right? Back in the day, there was like no information. There, like back when I was studying, there was like no information, right? You had the rehab of the hand, you had like one or two books or whatever, but that was it. There was really not a ton of like resources the way there are now. You can go on Facebook and be a part of 10 different groups with thousands of people who give you their opinions, right? I'm not saying right or wrong. They give you their opinions. And they don't know the whole story. You don't know the whole story, but you're taking that information in. You can go to YouTube and find a shit ton of information, right? A shit ton of information, more than you ever would need to know, right? Because they're done by just like great people, doctors, therapists, like tons of great information. But at the end of the day, if you have no information at all, you can fail, right? If you have way too much information, you can get confused. And confused people get questions wrong. Confused people can't make decisions, right? Think about that. You have so much information. So much information. Are you confused? Are you not able to filter out the information that you need to know as the certified hand therapist to be able to critically think through, problem solve, and make a decision, right? It's just like when your patients come into you. You see a problem, you have to be able to critically think through. Is this a bone type of issue? Is it a tendon type of issue? A muscle type of issue? Is it a ligament issue? Is it a nerve issue? Right? What is the problem? So that you can problem solve and say, okay, this is what I need to do first, second, and third, right? And at the end of the day, when you study for the exam and you study in a way that helps you, right, to critically think through, problem solve, and make decisions, it really helps you to be a much better therapist, a much more well-rounded therapist, and in the way of your understanding, and then translates in the way of your treatment of your with your patients, but also communicating with your patients in a way, right? It's like, you know, there's such good things about it. It's not just getting the letters, right? The letters like that end goal you want, but it's that journey along the way that you're looking for. But really so important is, did you filter out what you needed to know, right? If you don't, if you're not able to filter out all that information, it can make it really hard for you. You can get really bogged down and you can get really confused, and you can waste a lot of time. And in time, you can't get back, and you can waste a lot of energy, right? And an energy will slow you down and will waste more time, right? So how many people are like, oh my God, there's so much, you know, like if you're weighed down by their energy, like you can't get that momentum and that motivation to get going, you know, you'll lose even more time to sit for the exam. You know, you'll lose more time to study for it in the way that you actually need to study for it, right? So, so think about this. Do you really need to buy more books? Come on. Who have I spoken to that are like, I'm going to buy more books? I mean, did you really need to buy more books? Like, really? Like, buy them because you want to buy them. Like, I buy them all the time, right? All tons of books, all tons of resources. Really, at the end of the day, do you really need to buy more books, or do you actually need to double down on what works for you and what does not work for you, right? And herein lies the biggest thing, is to be honest with yourself. Like, if you lie to yourself and you lie to me, we can't, you know, really can't get you there, right? We can't really get you there. But you know, can you like dive in and like look at what works and what doesn't work, right? And so sometimes you need that, like you need that coach or you need that mentor that can help you kind of like dive in a little deeper. It's just like, you know, like talking about tennis again and talking about golfers, when they're, playing the game, they can't always see what they're doing right or what they're doing wrong. So sometimes it's that feedback that really helps them, that like outside set of eyeballs that can see like, what they're able to do or what they're not able to do, what works and what doesn't work. And it's also based on what's going on that someone from outside of yourself can actually ask questions that might be most relevant to you, right? To help you think through and say, okay, what did I thought this really works, but it actually didn't. It made me more confused. Watching more, these types of videos actually didn't help me. It made me more confused. So, keep that in mind. I'm not saying any of these things necessarily apply or don't apply. I'm just saying ask yourself these questions, right? And then the last thing, so number one was, did you study enough? Number two was, did you focus on the areas that you needed to focus on? And number three was, did you filter out the need to know, right? And the last thing isn't really a question, but it's more of a strategy that I do with my own members that are in my program, is I go over the score, right? You go over the score and you say, okay, here's my score and here's what I need. What's the gap, right? What's the gap? And then you look at all the domains and realize that all the domains are not divided equally, right? 2 + 2 does not equal 4. So you have to understand how those domains essentially work and how they're divided up. And then you want to assess them, right? So if you think about it, I'm going to put it in some therapy terms for you. If you think about it, the score is kind of like your progress note, right? It's kind of like your progress note. Where are you, right? Where are you? This is my score. This is where I need to be, right? Where are you? And it gives you your scores, right? Your breakdown. So where are you? What's missing, right? What's missing? And what do I need to do, to get to where I want to go? How do I get there, right? So it's just like your patient who has a finger fracture, right? In the progress note, you essentially are saying, where are you? I'm going to take some measurements. I'm going to take some grip strength, right? Where are you based on where you were the last time? Great, you've made some improvements, but where are you? And what's missing? What's that gap? What am I missing? So I'm missing, 20 degrees of PIP extension, and I want 0, right? I want the best possible outcome. Nobody ever says, oh, okay, just give me enough. No. If that was the case, you wouldn't want to, you wouldn't have this internal drive to become an expert in your area, right? So nobody's telling you, oh, I'm okay with some pain. They want no pain. They want what I had before my accident. So where are you? So I have this is missing. Well, what do I need to do to get that last little bit of extension? Because I know if I got that last little bit of extension, you wouldn't have pain. You'd be able to make a full fist, and the chances of you having problems with it later are greatly minimized if I get you to where you want to go, right? So the last one is really to go over your score. Go over your score, go over your gap. Basically, you're saying, what am I missing? Like, where am I right now? What am I missing? And how am I gonna fill that gap? What do I need to do to get that gap so I can become a certified hand therapist the next time I take that exam, right? Did this help anybody? Type into the chat. If it helped you, I'd really love to know. If it helped you, type into the chat and say, yes, Hoang, thank you so much. I'm gonna take a sip of my wine. Type in the chat and let me know, whether you're watching it right now live with me or you are, watching this on replay. If this has helped you at all, tell me, which area, which of the four, helped you the most, right? Now, if you are taking it for the first time, utilize the first 3 strategies, right? So I'm going to tell you again, what are the 4 strategies, or what are the 4 kind of like questions? Did you study enough, right? Did you put the focus on the area that you needed to put the focus on? Are you able to filter out the need to know? Are you able to filter out the need to know, right? So if you have taken the exam and failed, apply these 3 strategies. If you have never taken the exam, want to take it in November, and you want to pass on the first time, try those 3 strategies, right? And if you failed, let's go over your score. Go over your score and strategically think through it. It's like a progress note, right? And if you need any help on that, I included the link, I believe, so that you can get the help that you need. Sometimes it's key to getting someone from the outside looking in and saying, what am I missing, right? What am I missing, and how do I fill that gap in? So the website, I believe, is handtherapysecrets.com/CHT mentoring. But oh, by the way, my website is brand spanking new. I just redid it. handtherapysecrets.com. Go check it out. Grab the CHT checklist. And if you are someone who's failed and you're looking for some help, then grab that checklist and book a call with me. You can message me. Slide into my DMs, or you can email me, and we can do that type of conversation privately, one-on-one, and I can continue to help you more personally in terms of what do you need to do so that you can pass and become the expert in your area the next time. So Alma, thank you. Oh, yes, Hoang, very helpful on how to refocus stress. Perfect. So I'm glad. I hope that I'm doing these lives because I really want to help you, and I want to make sure that there's more CHTs out there. It's totally worth it. If you want it, then go get it, right? If you want it, then go get it. So thank you so much for joining me today. I am going to wrap it up right now, but if you're watching this on a replay, or if you need to hear it again and watch it again, please feel free. And then please like, and if you're on YouTube, subscribe to Hand Therapy Secrets. What's next? I'm going to be releasing some interview etiquette videos tomorrow, so don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, definitely hit subscribe, like, and share the video to other OTs that need this as well. All right, so, and then of course leave me a comment. Let me know how this has helped you. Listen, people leave me some negative comments. I am not scared. You want to leave me a negative comment, go right ahead, leave me a negative comment, and let me know how I can improve to help you. So thanks so much. If you're on Instagram, you can watch this again. If you're on Facebook, you can watch it again. And I'd really appreciate it if you shared it, so I can reach more OTs and PTs who want to get into the world of hand therapy, because there's never enough of us all around the world. I want to just like explode it. All right, thanks. So what date do we start the exam prep? Well, it's ongoing right now for people who are in the extended version, but August 2nd is going to be the official start of the 12-week program. So August 2nd, what did I say? August 2nd. August 2nd is going to be hands, wrists. So we're going to go real specific into some topics. So Gigi, I know you're already in. And so you're getting a head start so that you're not overwhelmed. So you're just, you have a strategy already of like the topics that you need to cover so that in August, we're just going to go really hard and heavy. So, and really get you prepared for that November exam. So Tuesday, August 2nd is when we're going to start. So if you're watching and you're looking for some help to increase your chances of passing the exam in November, one of the great things about the hand exam prep program is that it's filled full of accountability, holds you accountable, it gets you focused, and it gives you the support live. This is a live program. So none of this just go watch this shit on your own. No. Be sending you emails and be like picking at you like, what's going on? You haven't emailed me in a while. Where's your questions? What are you studying? And then getting people to send their questions in. And when I go over so one of the things that I did with one of my members is I was like, these are the types of questions you should be sending in to me now, right? It's not just any old questions. It's going to be very specific because we developed a plan literally based on what I'm telling you all of this right now, free share, because I need you to go for it again. So yeah, we created a plan for him and it was pretty much like, these are the types of questions that I want to be hearing from you, come August. So that you can increase your chances. You're so close, But listen, at the end of the day, failing by 1 point is still failing, right? You play a game of tennis, you fail by 1 point, you still lost the game. So, I mean, it sucks. Your ego is bruised for sure, 100%. Yeah, pick yourself back up and let's go. Do it again, right? So yeah, so August 2nd. So if anyone here is like, oh, like, don't I? Like, listen, just get on my email list and slide into my DMs and let's talk about whether this program is right for you or not. And I'm more than happy to help you strategize through what you need to do. So thanks, Jay, for watching. I really appreciate any comments. And again, please consider sharing this so that I will reach other OTs and PTs that are interested in becoming a CHT. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And we're going to do another wine and Hoang next month, right? So stay tuned. I'll be telling you guys when the dates and times are for that. All right, thanks. We're going to end this podcast and the live.